nights are getting cooler, I just went ahead and brought a couple of the other Tom Thumb tomatoes into the greenhouse. I'm going to let these last few green ones try to ripen up, unless I have a spacious morning, and I might just do some fried green onion or fried green tomatoes for breakfast in the next week if they don't ripen up. And then we have lots of greens on here that won't be worth frying up, so I'm hoping they'll just ripen in the greenhouse. These Super Tunia bubblegums are one plant. One plant. It's 4 foot wide, 4 foot across, and about 1.5 feet tall. This one didn't get quite as big because it's in a little bit more shade, but it got plenty big. Pretty amazing for one single plant to get that large. Hi there, welcome to the Gardens and Graveyard channel. My name is Charisma, and today we're meeting in the backyard and we are going to be cutting back some perennials that are just done for their season. And we've been working on this over the last week or so. We pulled out all of our annuals. We cut down a whole bunch of calendula and zinnias, and cutting down perennials like our daylilies and our hostas. And today I just have a couple of little plants in the front yard that I haven't gotten to yet, some ladies' mantles. And then I'm gonna hit this patch of fireweed, and then I've got some autumn joy sedum that's just kind of crowding some areas, and I'm just gonna cut down the flower stalks, dry them, and know that later in the season I'm gonna dig up half of that clump and move it to a different part of the garden because it's just not in the right place. And then, yeah, I just need to kind of like comb through the backyard and cut down some things like our lupins and whatever else I see. And then we got to tackle our raspberry. It is completely insane. It is so crazy. So we have just 2 raspberry vine bushes, and I'm gonna take one out because they're just not that tasty and I just don't want to deal with it. I want to get a different variety that I want to enjoy, because we grow our berries in a very small space. There's just no reason to have a berry that isn't productive and doesn't taste good in comparison to the other one that is just super delicious. So we're going to take out a raspberry, and then I'm going to train the other raspberry, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about the type of raspberry I have and how we're going to be pruning it and training it to prepare us for the next season. But first, I just want to get these perennials done so that I know that everybody is looking clean. And right now we're in that transition stage where the things that look tired look really, really tired, and they're kind of bringing down the aesthetic of the entire garden. So if you get rid of those really tired looking plants and let the last, at the end of the season, plants shine, they can really shine. So we're gonna do that, and then we'll meet back in the raspberry patch. Okay, so it always looks a little sad when you cut these guys all the way back, but a little close-up of the dead blooms, very tired leaves. But if you get down underneath there, you're gonna find that there's fresh leaves underneath there. This one's a little bit healthier. But yeah, there's lots of fresh canopy underneath there. You could be extra careful and just cut off the old leaves, but it's just, they flush out so fast that I don't have a problem just cutting it all back quickly. So you could see here with all of this cut back, you could actually notice this small yellow crocosmia, and it allows these black-eyed Susans to just shine a little bit more. It gives some space between plantings for the time being. Before I leave this area, I have a couple of, excuse the shadows, Philopendrula that I need to cut back. So I'm gonna cut those down quickly. And because I like to save these blooms, I just strip them right here. And cut, set that off to the side, strip, cut, set to the side, pull it all the way back here, and they just go all the way down. now that I have the more tedious work done of getting all of the perennials and annuals taken out, I gotta get into this mess. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. It's time to prune and corral the raspberries. Now, traditionally, raspberries get pruned in the winter. I cannot leave my canes like this all fall and all winter, and like, they're insane. They need to be maintained. And I did this last year. It's just this crazy last year. Maybe a little bit less so because they were a little bit younger. Still had all these crazy wild canes. And I had my very best berry year yet. We picked about 12 pints of raspberries off of these 2 shrubs, and I would say the majority of them came from this shrub over here. And this is a tourmaline red raspberry. It is summer fruiting, so we get a big load of them in June, and then a smattering of consistent raspberries all through the rest of the summer, which make fabulous garden snacks. This one, I can't remember the name of it right now. I'll put it up on the screen. I believe it is also a June bearing. It's like half the size, and it doesn't taste sweet until it's almost falling off the vine, and then 1 day later or 3 hours later, it tastes like fermented wine. I mean, like, it tastes like a Cabernet, which is fine for what it is, but it's really not very useful. And I don't get enough berries to even try to like make a jam. What does the Cabernet jams taste like? I don't know. But I don't want to fuss around with it anymore. I have a limited amount of space for raspberries, and I just want the really good, delicious ones right off the bat. So I'm going to get rid of this one, and they have propagated. So I might still have a cane or 2 of this one that I'm getting rid of. I don't care. That's fine. But I know the majority of it is on this side. So I'm going to get rid of as much as I can and leave this one. And then I'm going to get a new raspberry to plant in that same spot. Because I still want 2 shrubs. And I want 2 varieties, like I just do. So, but for today, what I'm going to do is, let me turn the camera around and show you a little bit closer of what my task for the day is. So we've got these 2 canes, and we've got these crazy tall canes, and the ones that have fallen over, they're all the way over here. Those are new canes from this year, and they did not fruit. They will fruit next year. So I need to keep those canes. However, the canes that did fruit this year will not fruit next year, and they will die over the winter. And so we can see the ones that fruited because they have these where the fruit were. And I know I can follow these back and cut them down to the ground. I don't need to wait for them to fully die and become crispy, hardened canes to remove them. I can just remove them. And then I'm just left with all of these new fresh canes that I can tie. So that is the goal for today, is to remove all of the old canes. And then this raspberry over on this side, and you can see it's the different variety has already failed. You know, it's like already done its autumn fall color thing, and they're already dropping leaves. So that one can just be fully removed. I believe that's it. Okay, so I have my safety glasses because I'm dealing with a lot of overhead whatnot. I have rose gloves that have goatskin gloves, and they also have reinforced pieces, and most importantly they have arm guards because the raspberries have thorns. And then I have just my Velcros. I'll worry about twine at the end. So my first goal is to just find all the fruit-bearing vine and cut those all the way to the ground. Now a lot of these were tied up last year, so I'll also want to remove the ties, obviously, so I could remove the dead cane. So it's going to be a little bit of a, it's just a little bit of a challenge because you have to differentiate the two different canes and not get completely ensnared in the berries. Also, I have some berry cane that came a couple feet away from where I want my berries, so I'm just gonna pull those out. I don't need to keep those. Let me get in here a little closer with you. The other thing that I can see as I'm down here at the base of the plant is I can see that this really light green cane is a brand new cane. These canes, oops, these canes which have a tie on them are all from last year. So I can immediately just cut all of those down on the ground. So I don't have to necessarily follow them from up here, and that will speed up the process a little bit. So before I even take this off, I'm just gonna come down here and start. So I do want to watch a little bit because it's starting to turn tan, but if I go up just a couple of inches, I see that it's a new cane. So I just want to go up a little ways, and like this one is new, this one is tied, so I can cut this one out. I might need to get okay. So makes it easy that way, right? And then I'll just go through and do all the other ones that are tied, and then I'll untie them and start pulling them out. But I think I'll do that with my gloves on, so you get the gist. Right, then I can take this twine off. Can save it. And one last berry. you can see, this is a lot more sparse. And I've dug this one out the best that I can. I'm sure I'll be fighting the roots, but I'm not terribly worried about it. I know that I was getting a lot of these tulamines midway and even over further, so I just selected one that looked similar. The canes look similar to these canes, and I'll leave those. All the rest of it ended up in the wheelbarrow. We'll take this out to the compost. The one we removed is the Willamette Red Raspberry, and it says it's an old standard and more widely planted worldwide, heavy producer that ship well. I mean, I wasn't very impressed with it in comparison to this tourmaline red raspberry. So, yeah, just gonna deal with it. All right, so then the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this to the compost. I'm gonna rake this out, make sure that it's all clean, pull any like remnant roots that I can see, and then I removed the support twine, which I was using like this kind of twine, but it keeps breaking. Obviously the canes are too big for it, or too heavy for it, and so I'm gonna replace it with this baling twine because I have a bunch on hand, and I think that'll support it a lot better. We also want to get a third eye bolt, but I'm not going to do that today. I need Spencer's help for that, and I don't even think we have a bolt that big. I need 2 of them, 1 on each side, but we'll get that done. We'll at least get the 2 lower tiers with the baling twine, and then we'll get these guys, these canes, in their support system. So I'm gonna take this away, rake this out, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, now this all clean, and we're just left with the canes that we want. Double checked to make sure that none of them had any fruit bearing bits left on them. So these are all brand new canes. So now I'm going to put up my baling twine, and then we can kind of trellis this raspberry craziness. Okay, now comes the fun part. We get to just trellis this. This is the other side of our walkway here. And you can see how it's been just going wild. So we get to corral it all and make it pretty and tidy for the rest of this year anyway. And set up the camera, and I will show you what I'll be using. Pretty simple. I just gather these guys up, and I'm gonna tie the first, I'm gonna gather these into like a group of 5, and then I tie them to the bottom twine. And I don't want them to be tied super tight, so I'm just going to use one of these soft little tie things. Okay, gather them together like this. Okay, now we'll take this, take this first group and we're gonna bend it that direction. Let's see, this one needs the second here, so we'll just do these ones. I'm gonna bend it in this direction and find a good open space to use one of these little guys. Pretty simple, and it just loosely holds it there. This one I will bend to attach to this upper twine, but I also want it to attach to the top twine once we get there. So I think we'll just bend this one this direction. Okay, now we've got these guys, which we can also bend this direction. And this guy, oh, there's two things going on here. All right, we've got these really tall ones. We've got this one that's not as tall. This one is not as tall, and this one is not as tall. So we can bend these down and join this one. And we just do that. Now these are so tall. I'm gonna carefully pull them down. Okay, remembering that there's going to be another twine up here. right, we're getting there. So these ones will attach to this upper twine that we have eventually. And then these gather together and also bend down. We'll bring it here to this middle section. All right, so now we basically just have 2 arches going both directions, and we can pull this in closer once we have that upper twine. The ground is fairly clean. I wasn't worried about losing leaves because these will totally defoliate this winter. And then we'll just have these stalks, but they're all corralled now, and they were easy and pliable to manipulate into this structure. And then they're super easy to harvest once harvest season comes because they're all right here. You know, these are the tips where you'll get tons of fruit, and it'll be just so easy to grab when the tips are right here at eye level, at chest level, to pick. So yeah, that is how I deal with the raspberry canes every year. And you can see there's a group of 5 new canes here, a group of 7 right here, a group of 4 right here. They were kind of like spread apart, but I just pulled them together. This one grew up through this fence, but I'm just gonna just pull it in this way when I get that 3rd twine. And then we have just a couple on the outside of this post. Here is a little view from the side of the garden where we began, just so you can see perspective-wise how things ended up looking from the beginning of this project. Several going this way, a couple going this way, and then when we plant our new raspberry down there, it'll mostly get arched this direction until it gets a little bigger and spreads this way. Then we can do some arches that way. But for this year, I think we'll just have it going that way. That feels really good to get done today. I have been putting this off, and we have been ducking underneath it and fighting it for quite some time. And so I'm really glad that it's done, and I don't have to think about it anymore other than to put up that little twine, which we'll probably do in the next day or 2. But yay, it's done, and we have so many perennials cut back. All of our annuals have been removed. Things are looking really clean and tidy. So I hope that you enjoyed just seeing us do a little pre-fall cleanup and clean out. And I hope that you're celebrating your life, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.